YouTube videos is a part of me trying to, put myself out there so that ultimately people can come and watch my theater shows. So YouTube is more like my promotion, and it's something that I have to keep doing so that people come and watch my theater shows. Because I did 2 theater shows and I realized that no one except magicians comes and watches you,
Yeah.
and it's weird because then it becomes a dealer demo as if you're teaching them tricks and stuff.
Exactly.
But that's okay. It taught me a lot of lessons, and now it's just me promoting myself on YouTube, and you have to do that. And I've also realized that you know you can put out a lot of serious stuff on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
but trust me, not many people are going to watch it for 2 reasons. Because they don't know you, so why would they invest in you? And mentalism or any sort of serious magic requires attention, right? Like if
Yes.
you're doing a name place routine, it requires attention. And if you think about it, it's really not as impossible on video, because see what you're competing with. On YouTube, you're competing with Darren Brown itself, because he's out there on YouTube as well. So why would someone watch you when they can watch Darren Brown on YouTube?
Yes.
Why would someone, you know, those are the things that I have to think about. Why would someone watch you when they can watch an America's Got Talent video as well on YouTube? So the 5 minutes or the 2 minutes that you're taking their time, it has to be something fun, because because most of the people are tired and they really switch on YouTube when they want to relax and chill,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Yes.
so it has to be something fun, it has to be engaging, it has to be something unique and relatable. Think about what Callan Morelli did. Like, Callan Morelli doesn't have a YouTube channel now, but if you're into magic for the past, anyone who's in magic for the past 3-4 years would know that at a time he used to have 1 million subscribers before he deleted his own YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of a mad guy in that sense. But what he used to do was he used to make these really interesting videos like magician vanished weed or
Yeah.
something like that from a policeman, and that got viral.
Yes.
I remember
Okay.
watching
I've seen
one of
that.
his I remember watching one of his earliest videos in which there was a skateboard and he was doing the matrix on the skateboard and his phone was levitating, and that was a crazy video that got viral. And he did a lot of picking up girls with magic or those sort of cliche tricks as well. So you have to think about how to make magic relatable to the people you're watching. I have recently started looking at a lot of rappers for inspiration, because I think that rappers and hip hop culture is influencing people the most. And I think Badshah is very good with marketing himself,
Yes.
whatever way he does. I think Divine is something that I'm really inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that now my name is Messiah is because I felt like if there can be a Badshah, there can be a Divine, there can be a Messiah as well. So I'm trying to be the.
That was actually one of the questions. You
Yeah.
answered it. So,
So we'll come back to that in detail. But
yeah.
I just felt like trying to be a rock star of magic or whatever, just being relatable to people and just being out there is the way to go for
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do that sort of stuff. And I'm very comfortable talking to the camera. I'm very comfortable. I love people. I love talking to people, and I personally like, I personally like all forms of magic. So for me, it's not difficult to switch from a mentalism routine to a magic routine. I'm very happy even doing sponge balls if I have to for kids. I can do, I like being cheesy and corny at times. I like being serious. I just like performing, and I can switch between modes easily. I can become James Brown. I can become Greg Wilson. I copy a lot of magicians sometimes, but I feel it's part of the process. As you keep on growing, you copy a lot of different magicians, and then ultimately find yourself.
I
You copy
understand.
a lot of performers.
Yes.
So that's also part of it. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yes,
yeah,
it
I've
did. It
just
did.
been all over the place.
Yeah, that's great. That's what this is about. It's a discussion. So like I understand that. Like when you said that you copy James Brown, you copy David Blaine, you copy all these guys. So you sort of in your mind say that this is essentially a journey to Poshak Dua.
Yeah,
Like all these steps are just helping you discover yourself.
exactly.
That's great. So that's
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, that's great. So like, and the things about pushing out content, even though you know it's absolutely garbage, that's a very Vaynerchuk ideology, Gary Vaynerchuk. And
I didn't get your question. What did you say?
I said that when you said that you should keep pushing out content, like even if you know it's garbage, you've been pushing out content. That's a
Yeah.
very Gary Vaynerchuk ideology, where he
Yeah,
says
like
that you make the learning
Gary
process. Yeah.
Gary is one of my inspirations, and I used to talk about Gary Vee when no one in India even knew about him. So I was
Wow.
in a Magica when I first found him. It was almost 2 3 years ago when I was working in my theme park. I first found Gary Vee, and I've been following him since. And I felt at times that I should not do social media, and then I felt I should continue doing it. Now that I'm fully into magic, so the first 2 years of me in college, I wasn't doing magic for people. I was doing it professionally to earn some money on the side, and I was reading a lot of magic books. But I wasn't performing every day. I wasn't growing in magic, I should say. It was just a hobby on the side for the past 2 years. Very Because I wanted it that way, and I explored bodybuilding. I lost some weight, and I explored other things on the side. But now that I'm fully into it, I feel like Karan Singh Magic, who's one of my mentors and a person who I absolutely love, he said that even he doesn't like to perform magic on Instagram, but he said very wise words. He said to me that it doesn't take much time for you to become irrelevant in people's eyes. And Instagram, social media is just a way to stay relevant in people's eyes, that you're still out there and you're still doing something. Because trust me, no one cares if you have the greatest trick in the world. You can spit frogs out of mouth. I don't care. People will forget it at some point of time. People forget very easily. Even Darren Brown said in one of his Penguin Live lectures that it's funny how fast people forget things. Everyone in London talks about Dynamo now, and they don't know who Darren Brown, who David Blaine is. So you continuously, it's a long game. So don't think that you're going to work hard this year and next year you'll be the best musician.
Yes.
Enjoy yourself right now. Enjoy the process. And Gary Vee says the same
Love
thing.
the
Just
journey.
enjoy
Love
the
the
game.
process.
Enjoy the journey. So it's all about that. And every day I just wake up. Now that I'm into magic completely. A lot of things have changed. I've realized that when you're just doing one thing, um, your you know ideas just start flowing in. So I just get new ideas about YouTube videos every day. I just get new ideas about Instagram. I just get new ideas about theater shows, and I just start noting them down. Yesterday I was performing, yesterday or day before yesterday I was performing in my restaurant, and an uncle came up to me and he told me, "Why are you doing card magic?" He didn't say card magic. He didn't know what was card magic. He said, "Me, why are you handling these cards? You're going to become a gambler one day." Funny statements like these. They don't used to matter me a lot, but now something just happened, and I felt emotional about it, and I decided to post about it. And out of that post came two very interesting videos. So I'll be working on a video that will be talking about two very interesting ideas.
Yeah.
So I'll be working on a video that will be talking about how card magic is not gambling. And the idea is to take all the big names in magic in India and all the kids and just let people know that all of these are card magicians and not gamblers. And then put out, I have the idea of, putting out Shinlim and David Blaine videos to tell people how big of a art form it is. And the other idea came was an idea for a theater presentation. So I felt I could tell a story about how cards are used, as cards are almost like a stigma in India.
Yes.
Playing cards are and people just frown upon you if you have cards in your hands. So that's an interesting presentation for theater. And all of this didn't come to me when I was not fully immersed into magic. I was just I would do one or two tricks here and there, and I would forget about things. But now that I'm into magic 24/7, anything that comes, I just write it down, and it sort of transforms into something interesting and new. So, your question that Gary Vee says that I'm inspired by Gary Vee is quite honest. Just keep putting out content and keep working on your craft every day, and you will feel a lot more fulfilled because and new things will come.
So an interesting thing that I noticed about you is you don't just focus on performances per se. You have a thought process behind that. You've thought about. You're very conscious of the fact that you're copying others per se. You're imitating others. You're taking inspiration. You're very open about it. You're very confident and self-aware, and I think that's really important because a lot of people, especially those who've been in magic for 1, 2, 3 years even, they don't realize the importance of thinking about these things. They copy others, but they never really have a plan of rising out of them. And I'm sure you've seen people like who, I mean, I've seen 13-year-olds who are trying to pull off a Luke Jormay script, and I'm sorry, no one's taking you seriously if you're doing that. But it's great if you experiment. I have tried out scripts that I can never pull in, like at least for the next 10 years or something. But now I know that. But a lot of people, they sort of plateau after a certain point. And I think it's great that you're very aware of the fact that all of this is just a journey towards finding yourself, finding Poshak Dua as a performer, finding the Messiah. So, now that we've sort of talked about a couple of things, let's delve into the audience. The next couple of questions have been submitted by people, and some that I've contributed. This is about a performer's interaction with the audience. I'm going to follow this up by certain questions about creativity. I've discussed about this with you before, but just for the people at home, what, in your opinion, is a good, genuine reaction?
Like, that's a very interesting question, and I've never thought about it. So whatever I'll be saying will be, coming out first time.
Yeah.
A good reaction. So I have recently my views have changed. For a long time, I used to think SpongeBob gives you good reaction. And that's true because if you perform SpongeBob, people are going to be surprised. But you have to understand that there's a difference between surprise and suspense. And a good reaction stays with people for a long time. There's a surprise reaction about a thing happening in front of them, and there's a reaction in their mind that will stay for a long time.
Yeah.
So, a good reaction is very different. What I'm aiming for most of the time is what Luke Jormay would say, stunned silence. And that has happened with me a couple of times performing even in restaurants, where they're just so shocked they're trying to process what just happened. And that is a good reaction. A lot of people remember playing, they carry whatever magic I did with a playing card, I give them as souvenirs, as a lot of magicians do. And they carry that and they keep that as a memory. That could be a part of good reaction. I personally, when I am performing, I like to mix surprise and suspense. So I would start off with something that would help them invest in myself. But by the time I'm leaving a group, I would perform something that is a larger mystery that makes them remember that something impossible happened. So I don't think there's anything bad about doing sponge balls if you're a kid, or for that matter, doing an effect that brings out surprise. Something like double cross. I just performed double cross yesterday, and sometimes in commercial venues you have to do those things. But make sure when you leave them with something greater. That's a long-lasting memory for them. And in the middle, just make sure that whatever you perform, it doesn't become you against them. So sometimes while we are performing as magicians or mentalists, it just becomes a game of, I'm going to catch you, no, I'm not going to let you catch me. And instead, immerse them in what you're saying and bring out your personality while you're performing to them. And Karan is obviously the best example for this. If you watch him perform live, you just get immersed into his personality. Watch any big magician for that matter, and you'll just feel how strong their personalities are. And that will happen over time. But even while you're performing, I would want you to anyone who's performing, I'm saying it to them. I would want you to speak about yourself, tell what you like, and instead of just performing a cliche routine, which I have done for a long time, I'll admit, because I just felt that that's easy. And but sometimes when I'm performing for people and they get absorbed in what I'm doing, then it becomes a lot easier for me to reveal personal things about me. I start telling them stories, and if people really like your performance, they ask themselves, "Ki, how did you start in magic? And I want to know about you. How are you doing these things?" And then, if you've done magic for a long time, you have some standard lines that you tell everyone. This is how I started it. This is how it came along, and those are the things that matter. So really pay attention to the things that you're saying to them, the stories you're telling to them, and those are the part that you should really care about, not the magic tricks. The magic tricks obviously are great that you're doing them, but the stories you're telling them, they will. Those are things they will remember for a long time. One of the things that I hate about magic is that a lot of people hate is um, a lot of times when I'm performing in a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
they would see a card trick and they would tell me, once I saw a guy who multiplied bottles and that was a great thing. So they remember the trick, but they don't remember the magician. So
Yes.
the ultimate goal is to become so good that they remember you and not the tricks. And it's very difficult because how can you do that? And I've thought about it for a long time and I keep thinking about it. I don't have an answer yet. The only thing that I do know right now is that theater can do that, and I've genuinely realized that if you have good theatrical skills, if you can tell people good stories, that is a step towards that. And David Blaine, if you watch his special back, when I was young, I watched David Blaine, and at that time I just saw the tricks. But a few months ago, I was watching it again, and now I just realized that it was actually the story that hooks you into his street magic specials. The story he's telling is that a common guy, is trying to push himself and connect with people all over different places. He's going to these villages and he's performing for people, and that's the story that stays with you. And this strange guy who's just going out these weird people and showing them this weird skill, and people on streets. So think about, don't copy David Blaine, of course, because it's overdone now.
There's
Everyone's
already too
performing
many
street
people
magic,
doing it. Yes.
and but find your new voice and find how you can connect with people, and that might be a part of getting good reactions. So I don't know what a good reaction is. I'm just still discovering it, but just start with something that surprises them, end with something where they remember you, and in the middle do whatever you want to do. So and they will remember you, and that's much better than a good reaction.
Lovely. That's amazing. So, yeah, that was a great answer to that, considering if you were just thinking of
Yeah,
it right
and
now.
just to connect this point, a lot of magicians don't understand the difference between surprise and suspense. So it's important that when you are creating a show or when you're creating a any piece, I feel that if you can combine these two things, you get best of both the worlds. Mentalism is mostly suspense, and magic is mostly surprise, which is why magic. A lot of people consider magic as trivial. It doesn't has to be like changing a card from one card. If you so the difference between surprise and suspense, very important to understand. Um, for example, um, you're doing a card trick and you change the card from one card to another. That's surprise, okay? And people would react to that. Everyone reacts to a card changing from one card to another. But what are you leaving them with? They'll go home thinking, okay, he must have changed the card somewhere. I don't know how he changed it, but there must be a way to change a card, okay? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
surprise them at that moment, but you didn't leave them with a mystery. A good way to present this simple trick would be to tell them to imagine that this card was actually your card from the beginning. Okay, and then tell them that in your hands, look at the back of the card and imagine, for example, the three of spades changing into the queen of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you're building suspense in their mind. Wait, is this card going to turn into the queen of hearts? And then you're telling them to imagine that it is actually changing. So there's a process. And then you could have your scripts, like I would say something like belief is important. If you believe in it, belief can move mountains. So if you definitely believe in it, it will look like the queen of hearts. And then have a look at it. And don't tell everyone to just look at it. Maybe just one person looks at it and it is the queen of hearts. Did you see the queen of hearts? Yes, I did. But you know what? It was for a moment because it is actually some other card. And they're surprised again. But just always think about how you're creating surprise and suspense at the same moment.
Yes.
And a good example again is Darren Brown's trick Smoke,
Mm-hmm.
where he spreads a deck of cards and he reads their mind. And every mind reading trick is a suspense trick because you know you're going to read their mind. The only thing you have to do is create a they know that you're going to read their mind. You know that you're going to read their mind. So the journey, the process is the interesting part. So you're building suspense. You might fail at the climax and then you suddenly win.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. So that's suspense. And then in Darren Brown's trick Smoke, you end with a surprise element where the smoke cigarette he's smoking is actually the card. And that's just a beautiful trick. And think about how you can make not every trick like that, but most of your tricks like that. There's a very good subtlety that Peter Turner has that it's not actually a very big thing. So I guess I can tell about it. When he writes something down, he reveals something down, he says, I wasn't even close. I was bang on. It's just a small subtlety where just at the moment where they think you're right, you're like, I wasn't even close. I was bang on. And even in stage performances, I've realized that mentalism works best when there's also surprise element with this. Ken Dine has a lot of routines in which, in the end, there's a surprise element to it. So think about all of those things, working surprise and suspense together. And once you do that, you'll start creating routines that are much more than sponge balls, that give you good reactions, but at the same time they leave a mystery that's longer lasting than the sponge ball mystery that everyone loves to do. Eugene Berger loves sponge balls routines, so it is a good routine. I just
I understand.
don't perform it.
Yeah, it's a great routine.